Welcome to this episode of National History Cloud Atlas. Here we converse with the past and envision the future. This program is fully produced by the National Network as a phenomenal cultural show. Today, we have specially invited 4 heavyweight guests to join us live. Chen Jian, that jerk. This program, from the proposal, planning, scriptwriting, to the overall framework, was entirely handled by me. Now the network replaces me just like that. This is a collective decision by the network. Chen Jian, you are still inexperienced. Everyone believes that with your current experience, you can't handle a project of this level yet. Please prepare for the handover. The hosting duties will be handed over to Han Yu. Chen Jian, this show is a major network project. It will be broadcast nationwide during prime time. It is completely different from your previous local shows. The responsibility is immense. Han Yu, which executive's relative is she? Chen Jian, Director Liu. What background Han Yue has? Do I need to say it to your face? That little punk, who does he think I am? Director Liu, actually, letting him host the first episode is not a bad idea. After all, he lacks experience with such grand occasions. When he messes up during the live broadcast and can't hold the stage, would not it be perfectly justifiable for us to replace him then? Yeah. Ultimately, he is the one who laid the foundation for this show. If we forcefully replace him right now, and he takes this up with the higher-ups, it probably won't look good for the network. Uncle Liu. Oh, Han. Do not worry, with your Uncle Liu here, the host position for this show is definitely yours. Rest assured. From top to bottom in this network, besides our Han, who else is qualified to take this job? Keep a close eye on the real-time data. If there are any anomalies in the ratings, we will let him go right before the next episode. Now, please allow me to grandly introduce our country's independently developed latest generation TAR panoramic immersion device system. Initiating immersive scene loading. Through these glasses, we will lead everyone across the barriers of time to immersively experience a journey connecting the past and present and conversing with the future. How is this image so realistic? Has our country's virtual technology already developed to this extent? This is a real-time visual effect. How is that possible? Where did Chen Jian find this VFX team? How much budget would this level of rendering burn through? Director, I heard that Chen Jian brought in the investment and team himself. It did not go through the network's accounts. What? He did it himself. Today, let us push open the heavy palace gates of history and step into a turbulent era. The first person we will converse with took charge in a crisis at 17, eradicated the eunuch faction, and strove for a revival. He was diligent and frugal his entire life, working day and night without rest. History books say he rose at the rooster's crow and stayed awake late into the night. Why is this description so familiar? Could it be? Could it be him? The very first guest is such a controversial historical figure. A monarch who was not incompetent, yet tragically became the ruler of a fallen nation. An almost tragic diligence ultimately resulted in hanging from that old locust tree on Jingshan Hill. With that eternal sigh, I die with no face to see my ancestors. Kill, charge into the palace. The city gates can't hold much longer. Hold them off. We must hold them off. Reinforcements. Where on earth are our reinforcements? Today marks the end of the Great Ming. Our great Shun rises by the mandate of heaven and is born for the people, breach the city. Ah, to this. This scene is too realistic. It is almost like truly standing right there. True. It really is. It really is the last emperor of the Ming dynasty, Zhu Yujian. It is actually Emperor Changzhen. Why would it be him? A monarch of a fallen nation. What is there worth presenting? And what is there to converse about? He could not even defend the capital, or protect his wife and children. What else is there to say? The imperial family is indeed the most ruthless. What is this Chen Jian doing? Why introduce this kind of fallen monarch in the very first episode? Zhu Yujian's reputation and abilities are as bad as they can get. As the premiere episode of a prime-time show, the people conversed with should at least be Emperor Taizong of Tang or Emperor Taizu of Song, or figures like Confucius. Rebels, have you reached outside Fengtian Hall? Bold rebel, how dare you barge into the hall alone? System. Is this really the Forbidden City from back then? This is a spatio-temporal projection. The host is currently standing 337 years in the past, in the Forbidden City on March 19th, the 17th year of Chongzhen. So this is the monarch responsible for the Great Ming's fall. Today, I will let you meet a person from later generations. Stepping across 300 years of time, I pay my respects to His Majesty, Emperor Chongzhen of the Great Ming. What did you say? Where do you come from? From later generations in the past, Emperor Gaozu of Han slew the white serpent and rose up, claiming the mandate of heaven was his. When Lord Kao rebelled against Han, a yellow dragon appeared in Chao County before he dared to accept the abdication. When Emperor Taizong of Tang was born, 2 dragons played outside the gates. When Emperor Taizu of Song was born, the room was filled with red light, and a strange fragrance lingered for 3 days. All were signs of the mandate of heaven. Now that rebel Chuang has not yet stepped into this forbidden city, yet he is in such a hurry to send a trickster like you to boast for him. Has the mandate of heaven returned to him? The anchor point of this dialogue is actually the Jia Shan year, the very day the capital fell, pushing the audience's excitement to the max right from the start. The final moment of the dynasty's demise. Chen Jian, you are taking too big of a risk, choosing to confront him at such a time node. What do you want to convey? And what do you expect the audience to understand? It is more than just a risk. It is absolutely thrilling. Emperor Chongzhen, the monarch of a fallen nation. At the moment his city falls, does Chen Jian truly not understand? Or is he deliberately poking the hornet's nest? Director, if this goes out live, I am afraid we won't be able to suppress the controversy. In the 7th year of Tianqi, Emperor Xizong was gravely ill, and the state's foundation was empty. Before passing away on the imperial bed, Xizong summoned the only adult imperial brother at the time, held his hand and left his dying wish. My brother must be like Emperors Yao and Shun. Ha ha ha. Emperor Chongzhen, I come from 300 years in the future, traversing the river of time, just to see with my own eyes the final master of this imperial edifice that lasted 276 years. This virtual imaging technology has reached such a level. The character's expressions and muscles, behavior and aura are identical to a real person. You can't tell at all that it is a digital 3D model or VFX composite. If I were not sitting in the studio, I would really think that right now, we were standing in the grand hall of the Forbidden City in the 17th year of Chongzhen. Do you truly come from 300 years in the future? Since ancient times, only founding monarchs who received the mandate have received auspicious signs from heaven to awe the people with their achievements. Why would I, the ruler of a fallen nation, receive such an honor? Your Majesty, the city gates still stand. The soldiers have not surrendered. The Great Ming is still here. How can your Majesty be a fallen monarch? I request your decree to execute this demagogue. Punish his 9 clans to set the record straight. Young man, since you come from the future, do you know what day today is? Today is the day Li Ziking breaches the Forbidden City and occupies the capital. It is also the day the Great Ming's legacy ends. Insolence. Ha ha ha. 276 years of reign, ultimately ruined by my hands. Young man, tell me, from now on, Will the world be called Great Shun? The state's power has tilted. The ancestral temple is in ashes. Why does your majesty seem to feel a sense of relief? Relief! Yes, the weight of these lands, the hopes of millions of people, the trust of my ancestors. I have carried them for too long. This masterful performance, this is simply a reenactment of history. Chongzhen's calmness at this moment is more heartbreaking than any sorrowful roar. When the nation falls and the family perishes, who can truly let go? Back then, when my royal brother handed this already heavily scarred empire into my hands, he only left one sentence. He wanted me to revive the great Ming. It has been 17 years I have not slacked off for a single day. Every night, I ask my conscience, where exactly did I fall short? Why did this great Ming Empire, in my hands, still reach such a precarious state? Your Majesty, the rise and fall of dynasties is the tide of history. It cannot be changed by the strength of one man. The fall of the great Ming is not your Majesty's sole responsibility. Young man, you have not answered me yet. Will the world hereafter belong to Great Shun after the great Ming? It is not the Great Shun dynasty, not Great Shun. After Li Zisheng entered the Forbidden City, he did issue an order. Anyone who dares to harm the people, loot properties, or women will be executed without mercy. He wanted to win hearts and establish order. However, discipline quickly collapsed. Soldiers became arrogant and generals unruly. His subordinates were rebellious. Within a few days, his troops turned into bandits, plundering the commoners, torturing officials, causing fires across the capital, and instantly losing the people's support. It is all lost. How could this be? And that Li Zicheng, intoxicated by success, immersed himself in wine and women all day long, blinded by his achievements. No longer possessing the heroic spirit of the Chuang king, his subordinates openly divided the palace maids and forcibly seized wives and daughters. Military discipline was completely wiped out, according to historical records. Not long after the Chuang king entered the capital, he suffered a massive defeat at Shanghai Pass. Unable to hold the capital, his downfall was sealed. Ha 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 ha. Good, very good, with such a narrow-minded and short-sighted character. What qualifications does he have to sit on the dragon throne and rule the world? Your Majesty, young man, you just said Li Zicheng was defeated outside Shanghai Pass. Shanghai Pass is my great Ming's formidable fortress. What kind of powerful enemy could make him suffer a crushing defeat and flee from there? Because the Tartars breached the pass. Ah, the Tartars. Tartars. How could those barbarians from beyond the pass possibly breach my Shanghai Pass? Your Majesty, Li Zicheng's defeat at Shanghai Pass was not at the hands of the Ming army, but the Manchu Tartars. Dorgan and Wu Sangui joined forces. From then on, the Central Plains changed hands, and following the Great Ming, it became the Qing dynasty. Li Zicheng is simply a foolish donkey, a God-given opportunity to rule the empire, and he managed to completely ruin a good hand in just a few dozen days, holding the script of heaven's mandate. If he had advanced steadily and won over the people, he might very well have become the founding emperor of a new dynasty. Who could have expected that ultimately the Manchu cavalry would trample through Shanghai Pass and overrun the Central Plains? The Manchus entering the pass. This was not just the end of the Ming dynasty, it was a catastrophe for Chinese civilization. Young man from the future, surely you must be joking. The rebel army was defeated at Shanghai Pass by the Manchu Tartars. Ridiculous. How could the barbarians beyond the pass have such military strength? These are demonic lies meant to confuse the people. Your Majesty, it seems you are still unaware. The Manchu Qing of today is no longer the border threat you once knew. In the early years of Tianqi and Chongzhen, taking advantage of the empty border defenses and the deterioration of Liaodong, they had already become a massive threat. Their Manchu 8 banners already possessed tens of thousands of elite troops. Their cavalry and archers were all seasoned warriors. Later, they subjugated Mongolia, incorporated Chihar, and organized the Mongol 8 banners, subduing the surrounding vassal states. Their power was established and their momentum was sharp. They were far from the Jianzhou Jurchens of the past. As the Qing troops beyond the pass have amassed An army of 100,000, Your Majesty. While you were still struggling to patch up this riddled giant imperial ship, the enemies beyond the pass had already forged an army of tigers and wolves capable of toppling the great Ming Empire. The land beyond the pass is bitterly cold and barren. How could it support an army of 100,000? Such absurdity. I do not believe it. Whether Your Majesty believes it or not, right now, while you are trapped in the palace at Shanhai Pass, the Manchus have long been preparing their troops and sharpening their blades, just waiting for the chance to break through the pass and dominate the central plains. Impossible? Impossible. Why have I never received a single word of urgent report? Border intelligence never reaches the court. Could it be? Could it be they all became worthless paper meant to fool me? They were all deceiving me. The entire court of civil and military officials, the border generals, were all deceiving me. As the ruler of a nation, to be completely oblivious to such massive changes right under his nose. The enemies were sharpening their knives at the border, yet he remained blinded by layers of false reports. Pathetic, yet also lamentable. Yes, exactly, you are right. The Ming dynasty's power structure had rotted from the roots long ago. The lower ranks deceived the higher ranks. The superiors brushed things off through the central secretariat, layer by layer, until it reached the emperor's eyes. It was just a piece of paper glossing over the crisis. Therefore, nurturing the enemy to elevate oneself was never an empty phrase. Once the court lost control over the frontiers, those holding military power gained the capital to expand, ultimately causing a massive disaster. Wu Sangui was incredibly foolish to personally invite the Qing army through the pass. Inviting the Qing army into the pass, the court arrested his father, seized his concubine, and could not even issue army pay. Li Ziqing and Chang Zhen pushed him to the brink, let alone letting the Qing army through the pass. Even if it meant personally slaughtering that wretched emperor, I would have done it too. Do you have any backbone left at all? Surrendering to foreign invaders. Is that what a real man does? Backbone. Backbone needs to be supported by rations, soldiers, and the hearts of the people. What does the great Ming have left at this point? Empty talk. Can hot blood alone stop the 8 banners? Your Majesty, for the dynasty to come to this, it is absolutely not Your Majesty's fault alone. It is those foolish officials filling the court and the arrogant generals at the borders. If not for being systematically deceived by them, with false reports becoming the norm, how could the great Ming Empire have collapsed so thoroughly? So you are saying, the one to replace my great Ming is not the rebel Chuang, but the Manchu Qing breaking through the pass? Yes. 276 years. Only 276 years. Ha 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 ha. The pain of foreign cavalry crushing the central plains. The ink in the history books is not yet dry, and now it is going to repeat itself in our generation. Foreign barbarians trampling the central plains and claiming orthodox Chinese rule. Li Ziqing is truly a sinner of the ages. That is absolute garbage. Sinner of the ages. I think that hat should be put right on your head, Changzhen. If you were not so blind and stubbornly self-righteous, the great Ming would not have ended up where it is today, a regime of hundreds of years. Could the root cause all be blamed on one man? Do you think this is a modern corporation, where a new board of directors can just instantly fix things, leaving other things aside for now? Changzhen calling Li Ziqing a sinner of the ages was not wrong at all. Mr. Zhao, your statement is a bit narrow-minded. The world belongs to the capable. The Ming failed. Changzhen failed, and Li Ziqing also failed. So let someone else take over. Dynastic transitions have always been like this. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Replace with whom? Who are the replacements? They are not of our kind. How can that be the same? Elder Zhao, do not get worked up just yet. Actually, the ruler of the world does not necessarily have to be Han Chinese. Did not the Mongols rule the Central Plains for nearly a century? What do you all know? Li Ziqing is indeed guilty. Did not the Mongols rule the Central Plains for nearly a century? What do you all know? Li Ziqing is indeed guilty. Looking throughout history, those who rose from the grassroots and eventually conquered the world, who among them was not favored by heaven and possessed extraordinary heroism. Emperor Gaozu of Han wielded a 3-foot sword and established a 400-year foundation. Emperor Taizong of Tang, with his civil and military achievements, forged the prosperous Zhengguan era. Emperor Taizu of Song ended the chaos of the 5 dynasties and initiated the path of civilian rule. All were heroic rulers of their generations and wise founding monarchs, not to mention the Hongwu Emperor of the Great Ming, who drove out the Tartars, restored China, established the capital in Jinling, established the Hongwu era, and exhibited such magnificent spirit. I am ashamed to face my ancestors. But this great Shun alone, entered the Forbidden City, seized the orthodox rule of the world, yet did not know how to sustain it. Ha ha ha. Ha. And perished as soon as it rose. Ha 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 ha. This is thousands of times more detestable than the likes of Qin Hui. Looking like this, how could it claim the mandate of heaven or the orthodoxy of Great Shun? It is nothing but a bandit den draped in dragon robes. This Chenjian. I cannot agree with this point. Li Zixing rose up in rebellion because the Ming dynasty was already utterly rotten. He was fundamentally a rebel. Why should he bear the heavy responsibility of saving the world? Having the capability but sitting idly by is failing the era. Even the grassroots heroes in history had far better vision than him if they achieved anything. If Li Zicheng, after entering the capital, could have emulated Emperor Gaozu of Han, restrained his troops, enforced strict discipline, secured his footing, and then aimed to rebuild the nation as the orthodox Chinese ruler, how could he have handed it over to the cavalry beyond the pass? Professor Zhao, your thinking is still stuck in the debate between Chinese and barbarians. When a disaster descends, would simply having another Han emperor rule the country guarantee that things would get better? Are not the lessons from the Ming dynasties nearly 300 years profound enough? That is still better than letting a foreign tribe trample us. Do you know that after the Manchus entered the pass, how many catastrophes the Central Plains endured? Shaving hair and changing clothing, the literary inquisitions, and widespread devastation. Can this be called progress? It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. Young man, can I ask you one last thing? Your Majesty, please ask my great Ming. Is there still any hope for it? Having reached this point, what this emperor still asks about is the great Ming. Can it be saved? Knowing full well this is a reenactment, yet my heart feels like it is weighed down by a rock. The most despairing thing is nothing other than helplessly watching everything collapse, yet being unable to do anything. This kind of slow death is more agonizing than a swift blade. The great Ming sigh. Young man, since you come from the future, you must possess extraordinary means. I beg you, save the great Ming, save this dying empire. Your Majesty, you must not kneel. Get up. Your Majesty is the supreme ruler. You cannot kneel. This old servant will kneel and beg on your Majesty's behalf. Please save the great Ming. Do not you understand yet? It is already beyond saving. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Today's great Ming has powerful elites encroaching within and formidable enemies invading from without. Natural disasters year after year. The people's hearts completely lost. It has long lost the vitality to prolong its life. I respect your Majesty for your diligent rule and lifelong effort. But today's great Ming is already terminally ill, beyond cure. Can your Majesty hear the sounds of slaughter outside? At this very moment, the Han army has passed a full year. Young man, since you came from 300 years in the future, see me off on my final journey. Your Majesty. Final journey. What does he mean by that? This virtual image of Emperor Chongzhen is simply too real. Even knowing it is a reenactment, that despair piercing through the screen still leaves one breathless. According to current historical research, the last emperor of the Ming, to avoid the humiliation of capture, hanged himself under an old locust tree on Meishan Hill and left a bloody decree on his lapel. The last orthodox ruler of our Han dynasty's empire ultimately came to this point. The last orthodox ruler of our Han dynasty's empire ultimately came to this point. The great Ming has fallen after all. Imperial brother, I have failed you. Not only did I fail to revive the great Ming, but I personally brought an end to this 276-year empire. Young man, just now I wanted to ask but did not dare. When they took the empire, did they treat my great Ming's subjects well? Your Majesty is asking if the Han people once again fell into misery like during the Mongol Yuan dynasty, unable to lift their heads. I have failed these millions of commoners and failed my imperial brother's trust, my entire life's attitude towards the Han dynasty. Though I already know the answer, I still want to hear it from your mouth. Could the subjects of my great Ming live in peace after the nation fell? Peace. Your Majesty, after the fall of the great Ming, when the Manchu Qing took over the Central Plains, China was already dead. Dead. What do you mean by this? Young man, my great Ming ruled for only 276 years. Even when the Mongol Yuan entered the Central Plains, no one dared to say China was dead. After the Ruan Qing Tartars breached the pass and pacified the Central Plains, the very first decree was shaving hair and changing clothes. They forcefully commanded the surviving subjects of the great Ming to abandon their Han attire and adopt Manchu customs, declaring, "Keep your hair, lose your head, keep your head, lose your hair," destroying our clothing to break our spirit, altering customs to humiliate our faith. This cultural subjugation is truly a political desire. Those who resisted were killed. How could the subjects of my great Ming willingly endure such humiliation? The subjects of the great Ming naturally resisted, which is why the subsequent massacres happened. I am not stupid. I am not stupid. In the 17th year of Chongzhen, the Qing army entered the pass. The following year they captured Yan, unleashed their troops to massacre the city, looted and plundered. It lasted for 10 days. Historically known as the 10 Days of Yangzhou, the death toll was approximately 800,000. 8810 in the same year. The people of Jiading, for resisting the hair-shaving decree, suffered 3 massacres by the Qing army. The number of victims exceeded 200,000. In the year of Hong, the Qing army captured Jiangye and slaughtered the city. The total dead in the city was about 170,000 in 1645. The Jiaxing massacre, 100,000 to 500,000 dead. The Kunshan massacre. On the day the city fell, everywhere became a killing ground. The 1646 Sichuan massacres, countless dead. Millions of people bleeding out. In 1649, the Datong massacre. The whole city barely survived for 5 days. The Nanchang massacre. Over 200,000 lives lost. The Fenzhou massacre records indicate total slaughter. The 1650 Guangzhou massacre. Hundreds of thousands of victims. In 1653, the Chaozhou massacre. 100,000 lives turned to dust. Shangtan, Nangxiang, Jingxian, Zhoushan, Jinhua, Ganshou, Hong'an, Changshu, Hanyi, Jinan. Everywhere corpses lay strewn, and smoke signals ceased. From north to south, from within the pass to the borders, the subjects of the great Ming had no way to survive, all perishing under the butcher's blade. How dare they? How could they? How did they dare? How dare they? Yeah, exactly. What is going on? Besides the 10 days of Yangzhou and the 3 massacres of Jiading, there were actually so many more. Why have we never known about this? Why do history textbooks not mention the Shangtan massacre, the Nangxiang massacre, the Jingxian massacre at all? I have not even heard of some of these names. How many people did the Tartars actually kill when they entered the pass? These numbers send shivers down my spine. If this is true, then it was not just a dynastic change, but an organized genocide. These massacre records can't be found in mainstream history books. Where did this Chen Jian dig them up from? Could it be that for the show's effect, he fabricated them himself? Professor Zhao, have you heard of these events? Is what Chen Jian said actually true? I did not expect this Chen Jian's excavation of late Ming and early Qing history to be this deep. Everything he just listed is true. Although there might be slight discrepancies in details, these events are solidly recorded in local gazetteers, unofficial histories, and the Qing Palace archives that have gradually opened up in recent years. They all have solid documentation, and in the Qing Palace archives that have gradually opened up in recent years, they all have solid documentation. Manchu Tartars, they deserve death. They deserve death. Those who desire the mandate of heaven must keep the people in mind. Having slaughtered the subjects of my great Ming like this, how can they sit securely on the throne in the future and pacify the world? In a sense, they did succeed. The Manchuching carved a path with butcher knives and swiftly took over Your Majesty's empire. These Hanlands have become the property of the Asing-Jioro clan. Your Majesty, do you see over there? That is my imperial palace. No. That is not the Forbidden City. That is my Chinese civilization. The Manchus entering the pass was absolutely not a normal dynastic transition or a change of regime. It was my Chinese civilization. The Han Empire severed for 300 years from then on. 300 years. 300 years, Your Majesty. What falls today is not just the Great Ming, it is the end of the Han people. I am ashamed before my ancestors. Ashamed before my civil and military officials. Ashamed before the people of the world. Your Majesty, 17 years. I have reigned for 17 years, working day and night. Not for a single day did I dare to neglect the state. My officials were incompetent. Why must heaven doom my great Ming? Is heaven dooming the Ming? 300 years of Chinese civilization's rupture. 300 years. To be fair, the fall of the Great Ming was not because Changzhen was foolish. He was diligent and self-disciplined. In his 17 years of reign he had faults, but also worked hard. Perhaps it truly was the will of heaven, indeed. Your Majesty, do you know what state today's Great Ming is really in? During that period, the Great Ming's internal and external troubles tightened like a noose, layer by layer, leaving the Ming dynasty with absolutely no room to breathe. Besides Li Zisheng, did the Great Ming at that time have other threats? At the end of the Ming dynasty, the cold wave of the global Little Ice Age swept across the land of China. Temperatures nationwide plummeted, with North China and Zhanghuai being the most severe. Winter months were bone-chillingly cold. Summer days saw frost and snow, drastically shortening the growing season. Grain harvests plummeted or even failed entirely, and regions like North and Northwest China suffered 1,000 miles of barren land for consecutive years. During the Great Drought, all was desolate. How could one survive? Starving people lining the roads is not enough to describe it. Wild fields filled with corpses, and locust plagues that blocked out the sun swept across. Wherever they passed, all vegetation was consumed. After a great disaster, a great plague must follow. Famine spread. Corpses littered the fields. Plagues of rats and cholera followed, ravaging the land. In northern villages, often 9 out of 10 houses were empty. By this point, social order had completely collapsed, and the people's livelihood was devastated. This can no longer be described by the word tragic. Was the late Ming really this catastrophic? It was as if heaven was playing a cruel joke on our Chinese civilization. It was like heaven itself stepped in to strangle this prosperity that had lasted over 200 years. Amidst disasters, 9 out of 10 houses empty. 9 out of 10 houses empty. Ha 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 ha. My great Ming had already decayed to this point. I originally thought that as long as I was diligent, working day and night, he could always pull it back from the brink of collapse. So it turns out it was all in vain. All in vain. Your Majesty, the Great Ming. The Great Ming. The Great Ming. The Great Ming. Heaven is dooming the Great Ming. The Great Ming ultimately belongs only to the past. Looking back at this history, what is left besides sighs or more sighs? One can only say that the Great Ming's fate had truly reached its end. Just a little bit more. If only it had a little more time, perhaps the Great Ming could have caught its breath. Unfortunately, heaven did not grant those years. When you get old, it is easy to get emotional. Our VR technology is really getting more and more impressive. Even knowing it is a virtual scene, I still can't help but be immersed in it. If the Great Ming could have continued to this day, perhaps many things later would not have happened. I do not think so. The rise and fall of dynasties have their own rules. Many things are unavoidable. In my opinion, the hidden dangers of the Great Ming were planted when Zhang Zhuzheng implemented the silver standard. Mr. Li also has an understanding of the silver standard from Zhang Zhuzheng's era. I have come across related topics before and done some homework. Professor Zhao, what exactly does the silver standard refer to? The so-called silver standard was the monetary system established during Zhang Zhuzheng's administration of the new policies. He implemented the single whip law, converting taxes and corvée labor to be collected in silver, making silver the dominant currency of the national economy, forming a system of silver as the primary and copper as secondary. The Great Ming Baochao issued in the early Ming lost its credit due to the court's overissuance. Copper coins had low value and could not support the large-scale trade market. The market had already naturally shifted towards silver. Zhang Zhuzheng's implementation of the single whip law officially merged land tax, corvée, and other taxes, unified and converted them to be collected in silver. This, in the form of a state decree, officially established silver's core position in the economic system, which is what later generations call the silver standard. But Mr. Li just said, the decline of the Ming dynasty started precisely from the silver standard. Could there be a problem with this system itself? But Mr. Li just said, the decline of the Ming dynasty started precisely from the silver standard. Could there be a problem with this system itself? Under the conditions at that time, the silver standard was not only useful, but could even be said to be the most suitable choice. It simplified the tax system, enhanced fiscal transparency and central control. In the short term, it boosted the economy, making the Great Ming the world's gathering place for silver, connecting the global trade network. Jiangnan's handicrafts thrived, and overseas trade flourished as well. This sounds like a good thing, is not it? It was good, but it also had hidden dangers. When the Ming's finances became overly dependent on the influx of silver, problems arose once silver imports sharply decreased. The country immediately fell into deflation. Farmers had to sell grain for silver to pay taxes. If at this time the price of silver was high and grain prices were low, their actual tax burden would multiply, especially in impoverished areas like the Northwest, where silver was already scarce. This situation of expensive silver and cheap grain made things worse. This was also a major economic root cause for the frequent civil uprisings at the end of the Ming. Young man, you came here today. Is it because the people of later generations decided that I was wrong? Young man, you came here today. Is it because the people of later generations decided that I was wrong? Are they blaming me? Sigh. Blaming me for achieving nothing in these 17 years, for being a foolish ruler, blaming me for losing this Han Empire, and destroying 300 years of the spark of Chinese civilization. Emperor Chongzhen, I do not know why, but my heart feels so heavy. It feels like something is squeezing my heart. I can't breathe. Chongzhen was not an heir systematically trained for the throne. He was suddenly pushed onto the dragon throne for this riddled giant ship to last 17 years in his hands. Perhaps that was already its limit. The great edifice is falling. It cannot be supported by a single beam. To blame everything on Chongzhen is too heavy a burden for ancient emperors. The most terrifying thing is infamy after death, is not it? Even for great rulers like Emperor Taizong of Tang and Emperor Chengzu of Ming, they could not escape anxiety about their place in history before they died. Emperor Chongzhen, the last Han emperor of our Chinese civilization. The transition of dynasties is the grand current of the era. It won't be reversed by one person. Today's Great Ming is like a flickering candle in the wind. Even if it were not your majesty, it would inevitably end in the hands of the next generation's ruler. Furthermore, to later generations, the Great Ming regained the sacred artifacts for our Han people and pushed our China to the top of the world. What right do we have to complain about your majesty? I am not here today to place blame for the empire your majesty lost, nor to mock your majesty as an incompetent, foolish ruler. I am here to tell Emperor Chongzhen that our Chinese civilization once again stands at the top of the world, returning to the center of this world stage. Our ancestors completely expelled the Manchu Qing, restored China, and established a new nation, gaining a rebirth. The Great Ming once unified the world and awed the four seas. That spirit of receiving heaven's mandate and ruling all nations has never been forgotten by later generations. We have always been striving for our country's prosperity and strength. Emperor Gaozu of Han was once besieged by the Xiongnu, until Emperor Wu of Han, after a century of enduring hardship, he finally wiped away the past humiliation. We, the reborn Chinese, are walking the same path, just to return our country to the pinnacle of a prosperous era, to let that civilization that commanded all nations once again stand tall in the world. A person from later generations comes here today to meet your majesty on the day the great Ming's capital falls. Just to tell you one thing. Dynasties change and the mandate of heaven shifts, but no matter who rules the empire, our Chinese civilization will definitely stand forever. Your Majesty need not worry about the empire changing its name. Even if our Chinese civilization faces the disaster of subjugation, it will still fall with vigor and dignity. Vigorously. Then what dignity is there to speak of? Think of our vast China. Does your Majesty believe that after you, the great Ming truly perished? Is it not so? Those whose hearts yearn for the great Ming have never ceased. How could Chinese civilization willingly bow its head forever? If the people of the world truly had not a shred of attachment left for the great Ming, then why did those massacres occur? Your Majesty, do you still remember Han Jingwen? Grand Secretary of the Cabinet, Fan Jingwen. How could I not remember? Back then, when I asked him to donate money and grain, it was old officials like him who evaded the most. Fan Jingwen, a Jinshi of the 41st year of Wanli, successively served as a prefectural judge, Ministry of Personnel Director, and Chief Minister of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices on the 19th of March 17th year of Chongzhen. After Li Zicheng breached the city and it fell, he left a suicide note as a high official. I cannot destroy the rebels and avenge the humiliation to die leaves lingering regret. 1.6 characters before his martyrdom. Aged 58. His wives, concubines, children, and many others followed him in death, a household of loyal souls, with no intention of living in disgrace. Your Majesty, do you still remember Ni Yuanlu? Minister of Revenue, Ni Yuanlu. Ni Yuanlu, a Jinshi of the 47th year of Wanli. On the 19th of March, the capital fell. Your Majesty was martyred. When Ni Yuanlu heard the news, he adjusted his clothes, bowed 3 times towards the palace. He personally wrote, "The southern capital can still be defended. I die without a penny to my name. Do not let a single injury harm my corpse, for the dead feel no pain." Then he hanged himself at home. Aged 52, his wives, concubines, children, and servants. The entire family was martyred, a household of loyal souls. Your Majesty, do you still remember Ling Yik,
Wu Linzheng, Zhou Fengxiang,
Ma Shiki, Lu Wenbing, Gong Yonggu, Zhang Qingzhen, Li Bonghua, Shi Bongyao? Remember. How could I not remember? Chief Minister of the Court of Judicature Ling Yik, Chief Minister of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices, Wu Linzheng, Hanlin Academy, Zhou Fengxiang, Ma Shiki, Marquis of Xinla Lu Wenbing, Prince Consort Gong Yonggu, Commander of the Embroidered Uniform Guard Zhang Qingzhen, Left Censor-in-Chief Li Bonghua, Vice Censor-in-Chief Shi Bongyao, Chief Minister of the Court of Judicature Ling Yik, hearing the news of your Majesty's death, dressed himself neatly, and hanged himself in his office. The Chief Minister of the Court of Imperial Sacrifices. Wu Linzheng defended the city gates, fighting until the last moment. After the city fell, he hanged himself by the roadside. Zhou Fengxiang, Hanlin Academy official, hearing of your Majesty's martyrdom, wrote a death poem, and hanged himself in martyrdom. Ma Shiki, Hanlin Academy official, upon hearing of the rebellion, calmly adjusted his clothes, and took his own life at home. Marquis of Xinla, Lu Wenbing, led his retainers to rescue the royal family. Unable to turn the tide, his entire family committed suicide. Prince Consort Gong Yonggu, when the city fell, tied his children to the princess's coffin, set it on fire, and calmly immolated himself. Commander of the Embroidered Uniform Guard, Zhang Qingzhen, led his retainers in street fighting until the last moment. Outnumbered and exhausted, he killed himself. And the Earl of Xuancheng Wei Shichun defended the city gates and fought fiercely. His entire family died by suicide. Vice Minister of Revenue, Fang Yuegong, wrote an inscription on his back, and hanged himself to prove his resolve. Director of the Ministry of War, Jin Xuan, jumped into the river to martyr himself. His mother, wife, and brother all died with him. Embroidered Uniform Guard Battalion Commander Teng Zhao, dressed in full uniform, burned himself to death in his office. Ha! Ha 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 ha. Ha! The Great Ming, the Great Ming. Your Majesty, the Great Ming. Has it fallen? It is too real. Every detail is like truly dragging us back to that year, the day the capital fell, the entire court, civil and military, the royal family and honorable relatives, all died fighting or became martyrs. Such backbone, such integrity. The great Ming truly deserves the word unyielding. This is different from the history I have read. The Ming dynasty's officials actually had such spirit. From the emperor above down to the honorable relatives, the royal family and civil officials mostly died as martyrs for the country. They used their lives to leave behind the final shred of dignity for the great Ming. This scene is just too real. So real it makes your heart tremble. I just can't stop the tears. This level of immersion, even movies struggle to achieve. Earl of Shoncheng Wei Shichun, Vice Minister Fang Yuegong, Director Jin Xuan, Battalion Commander Yu Tengjiao. These names. Today is the first time I have heard that those princes of the Zhu family died so tragically with their entire families. Director Chen Jian's opening for this episode is near perfect. The real-time ratings have broken the network's historical record. It is currently sitting firmly at the top of the national primetime rankings. With this kind of momentum, trying to replace him now probably won't be very easy. That jerk. It seems I truly am a useless monarch. The world has so many officials willing to die for the great Ming, yet I repeatedly failed to recognize their worth. Your Majesty, this is absolutely not your fault. The decline of this empire has been accumulating for decades. If it were not for your Majesty's desperate efforts to hold it up, it would have collapsed long ago. Chang'an, there is no need to say these comforting words anymore. Young man, what Chang'an and the others said, I already understand most of it in my heart, but I still want to hear it from you personally. In later generations, in your eyes, what kind of emperor am I really? The evaluation of Emperor Changzhen in later generations is probably not very pleasant. The history of Ming, compiled by Zhang Tingyu of the Qing dynasty, records in the annals of Emperor Zhuangli. During his 17 years of reign, he was not addicted to music and women. He was diligent and worked tirelessly. But regarding his governance, he exhausted himself trying to save a hopeless situation. He was suspicious and harsh, stubborn and prone to anger. In his judgments, he was harsh and ungrateful. In his anger, he acted hastily and made mistakes. He trusted eunuchs to occupy key positions. His measures were improper, leading to his downfall. Zhongli was not a monarch of a fallen nation, but he encountered the fate of a fallen nation. He lacked the strategy to save the nation, only showing his arrogance and making mistakes. He exhausted his efforts for 17 years, but only bad news was heard. Good strategists were purged. Capable generals like Li and Guo could not save the state from overturning. He merely died for his country. Nonsense. It is all nonsense. Later generations' assessment of me is spot on in every sentence. How is it nonsense? Your Majesty, at the end of the Ming dynasty, the natural disasters of the Little Ice Age, the economic crisis of silver depletion, the deep-rooted problem of land annexation, and the war fronts beset by internal and external troubles, were already irreversible. Anyone in this position, even with great talent and strategy, would find it hard to break free from the era and the collapse of order. The immense storm formed by the collapse. Trying to resist the collapse of the entire system with one person's strength, and judging heroes solely by success or failure, is not fair. To your Majesty has already done enough. It is about time for me. Your Majesty, the rebel Chuang has breached the Forbidden City. It is a pity I am ultimately destined not to see the day our Han civilization shines again. Does your Majesty wish to see it, to go and see the prosperous era of China after the Great Ming? What is Chen Jian doing? This part was definitely not in the original schedule. He is improvising on the spot. Sigh. Taking a fallen monarch to witness the new China. Once these two completely different historical concepts collide, does not he know how dangerous that is? If not handled well, this could be a live broadcast disaster. What does Chen Jian mean by this? Is he really planning to bring Emperor Chongzhen to the modern era? Even knowing it is virtual technology, I still want to let this last emperor of the Han people see with his own eyes the glory of our Han people today. We honor our ancestors to comfort the departed, just as Dr. Sun Yat-sen paid respects at the Ming Xiaoling Mausoleum, with the same intention. Now that such an opportunity is before me, how could I miss it? But I have to admit, Chen Jian's design is absolutely groundbreaking. Eunuch, please hold on for a moment. Your Majesty. Ah. Ah. Your Majesty. Ah, Your Majesty. Welcome to the world 300 years later. So this is 300 years later. Rocket launch sequence ready. 3, 2, 1 ignition. Mom, the rocket is launching again. Me. What? What is that? That is a rocket. In the early Ming dynasty, there was a pioneer named Wan Hu. He strapped 47 of the army's largest rockets to a chair, holding a kite in his hands, attempting to fly into the sky. The rockets exploded, and Wan Hu perished. This was humanity's earliest recorded attempt at manned flight. The dream that the great Ming could not realize back then, we have achieved. Rockets are indeed recorded in the Wu Beiji Treatise on Armament Technology. I never expected you could reach such heights. It seems today's China has truly reached its peak. Even such ingenious contrivances have developed to this level. Your Majesty, these rockets and satellites are absolutely not mere ingenious contrivances. Oh, has Your Majesty ever seen the true face of our vast Chinese land? During the Yongle era, Zheng He made 7 voyages to the western seas and compiled Zheng He's nautical chart. I am somewhat familiar with it. What Your Majesty refers to, is it this chart? Exactly. Emperor Yongle ordered Zheng He to sail the western seas, though nominally for trade. It was truly to spread our national prestige and secure our position as a suzerain, and more importantly, to leave this priceless geographical record for later generations. Why not take a look at the world 300 years later? This is Your Majesty. This is the real world where China is located. As far as the eye can see, it is all the true appearance of our lands and rivers. Oh, Your Majesty, the object you just saw ascending into the sky, it was carrying a satellite capable of overlooking the entire world. Satellite. Your Majesty can understand a satellite as the eye of heaven. When it ascends to the heavens, it helps us look down upon the entire Chinese landscape and even the whole world. The map before Your Majesty's eyes was captured by satellites from high above in the sky. Now, does Your Majesty still think this is just an ingenious contrivance? This is a miracle. Your Majesty knows that the Imperial Astronomy Bureau naturally understands this. It observes the heavens, calculates the seasons, and establishes the calendar. This satellite possesses the capabilities of the Imperial Astronomy Bureau and goes far beyond that. Oh. Our country has launched many satellites. There are meteorological satellites that can predict the weather, monitor the climate, and warn of disasters. There are ocean satellites to track ocean currents and observe changes in water conditions across thousands of miles of seas. There are also resource satellites that can survey land and estimate agricultural output. Environmental satellites broadly monitor ecological changes and disasters over vast areas. Remote sensing satellites have multiple applications, observing everything with great precision. Wow! With these stars suspended high in the sky, we can overlook this entire land. We can predict incoming typhoons, detect approaching droughts early, and warn of earthquakes and landslides. This allows us to prepare in advance, provide disaster relief, and secure the people, so the commoners suffer less displacement. How magnificent! How awe-inspiring, so to speak. This Chinese landscape and even all nations of the world, are they not all under the gaze of this eye of heaven? This man, Chen Jian, is truly a rare talent. The launching of our country's satellites, in a sense, is a symbol of China's return to strength and prosperity. Having Emperor Chongzhen witness the rocket piercing the sky with his own eyes is equivalent to letting him witness how 300 years later, this country stands proudly in the world. What? What is that? That is an airplane. That airplane is actually carrying people. Naturally, Your Majesty. People today can also ride it to soar through the skies, departing from the northern borders in the morning and reaching the ends of the earth by evening. He could not have imagined that 600 years later, the human world would reach such a state. This landscape is so magnificent. Young man, may I ask 3 things? Your Majesty, please speak. First question. How does your country today view the Great Ming? Let me take Your Majesty to a place. This place is... Dad. Why are we coming here? I want to go to the amusement park, because this is our route. Dad, it is so pretty here. Grandpa Zhu Yuanzhang must be very happy living here, right? Of course he is happy. Xiaonan visits him every year and pays respects if Grandpa Zhu's spirit is watching from heaven. He must feel very comforted. Haha, of course. Haha. Haha. This place is the mausoleum of the founding emperor of the Great Ming, Emperor Taizu Zhuyanzong. Your Majesty, if you want to cry, just cry. At this time and place, no one can see us. Young man from the future, do not mock me. On the day Beijing fell, Your Majesty was powerless to turn the tide and could not even pay respects at the Shaoling Mausoleum. Today, a long-held wish can be fulfilled. Ah, dear guests. The sacred land nestled against the mountains behind everyone is exactly the joint tomb of the founding emperor of the Great Ming, Emperor Taizu Zhuyanzong, and Empress Xiaoqi. The Ming Shaoling Mausoleum. Back then, Emperor Taizu expelled the Mongol Yuan, restored China, and established the Great Ming Dynasty, returning our Han Dynasty to the top of the world and continuing the glory of our civilization. In the year 1360, during the Battle of Longwan, Emperor Taizu heavily defeated Chen Yuliang's navy here. Not only did he defend Yintian, he also completely turned the tide of the world in one fell swoop, laying the foundation for ultimately conquering the empire. I really do not understand what is so great about the Great Ming. So many people come to see this. From an objective historical evaluation, the Ming Dynasty indeed had monumental achievements, but also deeply entrenched flaws. But we come here today not just to look at these stones and bricks. We are here to feel a living history and to touch the cultural soul that has been passed down to this day. Cultural inheritance. The first few pages of my family's genealogy date back to the Great Ming. But back then, my ancestors were just peasants toiling in the fields. It just notes reclaimed wasteland in the Hongwu era. Faced heavy taxes in the Wanli era. Just a few light words could mean generations of suffocating hardship. What is there to praise about such history? Hard times if the Great Ming had not ended the chaos of the late Yuan and rebuilt China, huh? Whether your ancestors could even survive the flames of war and leave behind your bloodline is questionable. Where would you be? You. Which dynasty did not have taxes and corvée labor? You call that oppression. What about now? Are you going to complain in the future that this era oppressed you until you could not breathe? Be reasonable. Look at history objectively. You are just twisting words and forcing logic. Twisting words. If it were not for the Great Ming, you would not even know who your ancestors were. This is not twisting words. Without a strong nation, how can there be families? If civilization perishes, how can the bloodline survive? This gentleman spoke well. When we remember history, we must see the blood and tears in the dust, but also the halls rebuilt above the dust. These are not contradictory. Hardships do not obscure achievements after the Ming Dynasty. Our civilization indeed went through hardships again. But please think about it. If Emperor Taizu had not established his capital in Jinling back then and founded the Hongwu era, without the Great Ming's nearly 300 years of accumulation and heritage, our Chinese civilization might have been completely severed long ago. Your Majesty, yeah. Go and pay respects to Taizu. Yeah. The Great Ming Dynasty awed the world. It was absolutely unprecedentedly powerful at that time. Ah, Taizu. Unfilial descendant Zhu Yujian pays respects to Emperor Taizu. Brilliant. Brilliant. This stroke is simply a stroke of genius. Having Chongjin to Emperor Taizu of Ming. Chongjin should make amends too. I do not know why. I just feel like everything happening right now does not seem like an act. It feels like he is actually right there. The aura of this mausoleum is surprisingly even more solemn and grand than back in the day, because we all recognize the Great Ming as the orthodox Chinese rule. Emperor Taizu of Ming saved the nation. He naturally deserves the orderly reverence of billions of descendants in later generations. If Taizu's spirit is watching, he should feel comforted. The affairs of the future are truly captivating. Just now, Your Majesty mentioned having 3 questions. The first has been answered. What is the second? My second question is, has your country today treated the people of China well? Your Majesty, hearing is not as good as seeing. For this second question, please follow me. I am not going. I said I am not going. Stop wasting your breath. Hey, Li Dahai, do you think we are bargaining with you? Today? This is not up to you. You have to go. If you won't go, we will carry you there. Forcing people for fame and profit is no different from cruel officials. Your Majesty, do not rush to judgment. None of. I said I am not going, and I mean it. Can't I even make decisions about my own life? Not going, so you are just going to tough it out here and wait to die. Is that it? Who do you think you can hide it from? Waiting to die is my choice. I do not need you guys acting like saviors. Get out. All of you, get out. Brother Li, calm down. Listen to me. The county hospital's test results are no joke. The experts said if we act fast, there is a great chance. Do not worry about the money. The village can help out a bit too. Figure something out. Figure what out? The hospital is a bottomless pit. Once those machines start running, gold flows away like water. Li Dahai, you are just too stubborn. Zhou Xiaofeng, you work for the government. What do you know? Our family works from dawn to dusk, scrimping and saving all year round. We only manage to save 40 or 50,000. My boy is working in the city. He is about to get a girlfriend. He is still short on a house down payment. If I go under the knife, it is hundreds of thousands. Where will the money come from? Borrow it? Sell everything we own and throw my boy's future in too. My old bones are not worth this family. I can't drag this family down just because of me. My boy still has a long life ahead. Old Li, you are being foolish. Your son sends money every month. Your illness is treatable. Is hundreds of thousands more important than my life? Xiao Chen, let me tell you, deep in these mountains, hundreds of thousands is indeed worth more than my old bones, more precious and valuable than my life. You guys see a lot in the towns and counties. You do not understand the poverty in our remote corner. My boy worked his tail off to get out of here. Gaining a foothold in the city is harder than climbing to heaven. What we saved is not just money, it is his hope for the rest of his life, the confidence he needs to get married and settle down. If my illness drains all his hope away, even if I live another 10 years, will I have any peace in my heart? What kind of father would I be? Dad, ah. Xiao Shen. You guys. You two. Did not I repeatedly tell you? Not to tell my son. Not to tell him. You are really pushing me to my grave. Not tell Xiao Zhen. Are you expecting the two of us? And everyone in the village? To keep it a secret from him, to just watch your illness turn into a terminal one in this courtyard, to watch him come back later, and only be able to cry at your grave. Dad, do not say any more. Do not say anything else. Old Lee, do not worry yet. Before we came, we already communicated with the county hospital. Your family has always been covered by the state's 5 guarantees policy. Now, for your treatment, we are going through the highest level of medical assistance and protection. Channels, brother Lai. Let us do the actual math. After reimbursement, according to our policies, the money you have to pay out of pocket will be less than 10 or 20% of the total cost. To save just this little bit of money, how can you bear to let Shen lose his father so early? Dad, let us go to the hospital. Okay, no matter how much it costs, we will get it treated. I have hands and feet. I can earn money. 5 guarantees policy. What kind of policy is this? Your Majesty, this is a benevolent policy in our country, called the Rural 5 Guarantees Support System. It is specifically set up for the widowers, widows, orphans, and childless seniors in villages. Those with no one to rely on, no ability to work, and no source of livelihood. The state takes on the responsibility of supporting them, to ensuring their basic livelihood, keeping them from hunger and cold, and preventing displacement, a benevolent policy. All right then. Just now you mentioned 5 guarantees. What exactly are the 5 things guaranteed? Guaranteed food, guaranteed clothing, guaranteed housing, guaranteed medical care if it is an elderly person, guaranteed burial if it is an orphan, then guaranteed education. Guaranteed food means providing rice, flour, grain, oil, vegetables, meat, and even firewood. Guaranteed clothing means providing clothes for all 4 seasons and bedding against the cold. Guaranteed housing involves renovating dangerous houses or providing centralized living facilities. Ensuring a safe place to stay. Guaranteed medical care is the most crucial. Ensuring they receive treatment when sick if they have mobility issues. There are dedicated people to care for their medication and daily needs for the elderly. Guaranteed burial ensures they have a dignified rest at the end of their lives. For orphans, guaranteed education ensures they have access to learning while young, so they are not neglected. With the 5 guarantees, from life to death, everything is taken care of. What kind of benevolent governance is this? With the 5 guarantees from life to death, everything is taken care of. What kind of benevolent governance is this? Back then, I could not even scrape together the military pay for the 9 border garrisons. Locust plagues raged, the commoners looking at the desolate fields. I actually did not know a country could be like this. Your Majesty, the 5 guarantees system, and the subsequently continuously improved support system for the extremely destitute, is indeed an unprecedented initiative in our thousands of years of Chinese history. It is not just relief, but a promise made by the state to its most vulnerable citizens. On this land, no one will be abandoned. How much state silver does such support consume? Among all the widowers, widows, orphans, and childless seniors in the world, how can this be afforded? Your Majesty, in our era, this is not a burden. The people are the nation. Oh, the wealth of the state is taken from the people and used for the people. The belief we hold on to is that development is to allow everyone to live with more dignity. Therefore, even with immense difficulties, we remain resolute. This is what it means to be people-centered, to not let any son or daughter of China, on this land of our ancestors, live in fear due to poverty, or be helpless due to loneliness. For the people, our predecessors and our country are willing to give their all. Dad, take your time. Do not rush. I know, my old bones are still tough. You do not need to hold me like this. Old Lee, the hospital has everything arranged. Your only task this time is to focus on getting treated with peace of mind. Do not think about anything else. As for the medical bills, the state's policies have got you covered. Ha ha ha. Ah, the state covers for the people. Is not this exactly the great Ming I dreamed of? Even if the national treasury is struggling, it must first protect the most vulnerable citizens. This is true benevolent governance. How could a nation that implements such policies not love its people? How could it not deserve the allegiance of all the people? Ah, this is your Majesty. This is a road built by our era for the people. How magnificent! Young man, Even if I do not understand the mechanisms behind this, I know that building such an immense project in these deep mountains and remote ravines must consume the wealth of the entire nation. What urgent military secrets are hidden in these mountains? Or are there treasures vital to the nation's destiny buried here? There are no military secrets in these mountains, nor any treasures. In these mountains, there are only the people. Wherever there are people, roads and bridges will reach there, making the high mountains bow their heads, making rivers give way. Making high mountains bow their heads, making rivers give way. Chen Jian's QA here is simply perfect. He used real poverty alleviation and infrastructure projects to demonstrate the country's commitment to its people. This is true people-centric governance. The nation's poverty alleviation policies have firmly secured the bottom line of society. It ensures that even the most vulnerable will not be abandoned, allowing them to live with dignity. Looking across the globe, there are very few countries that can execute care for vulnerable groups so thoroughly and systematically. The 5 guarantees system covers over 95% of medical bills. Even we are a bit envious of that level of coverage. Reimbursing that much basically means the state is paying for everything. This is our country's determination. Affordable doctor visits and affordable hospital stays are more than just slogans. They are a solid defense line to prevent citizens from falling back into poverty due to a major illness. The scene of the second question. I wonder if this answer satisfies your majesty. Satisfied? How could I not be satisfied with such a sight? This is exactly the prosperous era my great Ming dreamed of. It is I who failed the people of the world. Your majesty, the first question and the second question have been answered. May I ask what the third question is? In the past, Emperor Taizu Hongwu expelled the Mongol Yuan, restored China, and awed the 4 seas. Emperor Chengzu Yongle launched 7 voyages and 5 northern campaigns, creating the prosperous Yongle era. All nations came to pay tribute, pushing my great Ming to the pinnacle of the world, respected by all under heaven. After my reign, the empire fell, and civilization sank. Now, 300 years of changes have passed. My third question is to know, how strong is our Chinese national power today? If there is no buffer zone, then we will draw a buffer zone. Notice to all parties, our warships will dock precisely at 15:10 today. During the evacuation of our citizens, no armed forces shall interfere, and none shall approach. If anyone dares to fire on us during this time, it will be deemed a declaration of war against us. Yes, sir. Our fleet will escort them the whole way, ensuring every compatriot returns home safely. Your Majesty, these are today's warships. How majestic, how awe-inspiring. They are here. Great. That is wonderful. We are moving out immediately. Great news, everyone. The warships are here. They are taking us home. The warships are here. We are saved. Everyone, please maintain order. The warships are waiting at the port. I never imagined that today we could dispatch a massive army to rescue our people thousands of miles away. Our country never abandons a single compatriot whose heart is with the motherland. Young man, this place is so far from China. Are not you afraid that those with ulterior motives will seize the chance to attack? Ha ha. Your Majesty is worried about other countries ambushing our warships. Your Majesty, the fleet you see before you is easily capable of defeating 90% of the countries in the world today. What? Chen Jian uses an evacuation operation to answer Chong Zhen's third question. Brilliant angle. Not only does it evacuate citizens, but it fully showcases our military power and international influence. There is no better way to display national strength than this. Chen Jian said a fleet can destroy 90% of countries. Is not that a bit of an exaggeration? With all due respect, Boss Li, your understanding of our military strength might be a bit lacking. For those small and medium-sized countries that lack air superiority, sea control, and anti-ship capabilities, 90% is no exaggeration at all. A naval fleet is an absolute asymmetric strike against them. Exactly. And that is assuming the other side has some armed forces. For some countries in South America or Africa, wiping out a nation on contact is not an overstatement. Boss Li, you have lived abroad for a long time. You should know that today's China is far different from the past. One fleet can pacify an entire country. How terrifying. Such elite pillars of the nation are actually used to rescue civilians overseas. Does Your Majesty know how many active warships our country has? The warships China currently discloses to the public number over 370. The 5 ships before Your Majesty are not even 1/10 of the total. 370 ships. China is actually this powerful, Your Majesty, and this is just the Navy. Our military is now divided into 5 major branches: Army, Navy, Air Force, Rocket Force, and Strategic Support Force. The total troop count is 2 million. 2 million. Our military is now divided into 5 major branches: Army, Navy, Air Force, Rocket Force, and Strategic Support Force. The total troop count is 2 million. 2 million troops. A million-strong army, a million. Looking across ancient and modern China, no dynasty has ever possessed such magic. An invincible million-strong army. With this magic, one could conquer the world. Your Majesty, today's world is not the time of the Great Ming. Every generation has its own mission. We are also striving forward, just to let Chinese civilization stand tall in the tide of the era. If I had possessed a million-strong army back then, young man, I am truly envious. To be honest, Your Majesty, I often feel fortunate too. Fortunate to be born in this era, and even more fortunate to be a descendant of China. Young man, the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Strategic Support Force you just mentioned. I can grasp the general idea, but what does Rocket Force mean? Your Majesty, have you ever seen a meteor? Naturally, though I live deep in the palace, I have some knowledge of astronomy and astrology. Ha. Then I will take Your Majesty to see the meteors of today's China. Young man, this place is not within our Chinese borders. Why have you brought me here? Your Majesty, this place is indeed Hawaii, about 6 or 7,000 kilometers away from China. 6 or 7,000 kilometers. Tonight, a meteor will streak across the sky. That will be one of the most brilliant moments in the history of our Chinese civilization. It seems that China's path forward today is not entirely smooth and unobstructed either. That is why we are still striving, so that one day we can return to the peak of the Great Ming's era, where all nations come to pay tribute, and we are respected by all under heaven. Look quickly. What is that in the sky? Ah. That is a meteor. 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 Oh, what is that? Breaking news update. 15 minutes ago, under the guise of a military drill, a Peak series ballistic missile was launched. Ah! This long-range missile was launched from the mainland and is currently passing over the airspace of verified by relevant authorities. The missile's target is the high seas off the coast. Nearby fishing vessels, do not be alarmed. This is a military drill. I repeat, this is a military drill verified by relevant authorities. The missile's target is the high seas off the coast. Nearby fishing vessels, do not be alarmed. This is a military drill. I repeat, this is a military drill. What exactly is this object? If it possesses such world-destroying power, how does it do that? Your Majesty, this is the pinnacle of our military arsenal, the Peak series. It can execute precise strikes within a 12,000-kilometer range. 12,000 kilometers. Does not that mean you can strike an enemy thousands of miles away, without even leaving your home? Exactly. Well said. 1,000 words cannot compare to a single look. Back then, this event shocked the whole world. All the countries that had an issue with us were incredibly well behaved for a while. America stopped acting up too. 12,000 kilometers. If it can reach the West Coast, then it can directly strike the capital of the U.S. mainland. National status and dignity are always built on strong military power. Otherwise, all dignity and interests are just illusions. This is the rocket force. Truly divine troops descending from heaven. The rocket force is the stabilizing force of China's strategic deterrence today. If it does not move, fine. But when it moves, the whole world is shocked. Its power is overwhelming. Overwhelming does not even begin to describe it. If I had possessed this divine power back then, why would I worry about rebels ruining the country? Your Majesty, it is just a hypothesis. Even if we could give the power of the rocket force to Your Majesty, it would not have solved the Great Ming's crisis. Earlier, Your Majesty asked me 3 questions. Now, as a person from a later generation, I boldly ask Your Majesty 1 question. All right, Your Majesty believes? What makes a nation strong? Naturally, it is a full treasury, a strong military, barbarians submitting and uniting the realm, just like during the Great Ming's peak, ruling all nations and respected by the whole world. Is this what Your Majesty considers true strength? Is it not? By that standard, it is indeed strong. In the past, the Yuan dynasty's cavalry swept across Eurasia. Its territory was unprecedentedly vast. It was truly a global hegemon, yet its reign lasted barely 80 years, and was ultimately overthrown by Emperor Hongwu in one fell swoop. That was because they lost the people's hearts and were tyrannical. With heavy taxes and cruel levies, they made life impossible for the people. It was only natural they perished. Does Your Majesty consider the Yuan strong? In terms of national power, the vastness of their territory, and the sharpness of their cavalry, they were unmatched. But from a civilization's perspective, they were incredibly weak. That seemingly invincible military was nothing but a hollow skeleton, a corner of civilization. What do you mean by this? Has not Your Majesty already pointed it out? The Yuan lost the people's hearts. Has not Your Majesty already pointed it out? The Yuan lost the people's hearts. They never truly won the recognition of the people under heaven. In my view, the strength of a nation lies in the people, sharing the same heart and will as the state. The people and the state's will must be united as one. A nation's strength never relies on the bravery of one industry or one person, but on the cohesion of the people's hearts. Only when the people have faith in their hearts will the nation have power. The people have faith. The nation has power. Who are the people? They are the herb-gathering doctors in the villages, the hard-studying scholars, and the farmers toiling in the fields. Who are the people? They are the top scholars passing the imperial exams, and the magistrates who plead for the people, defending the land and securing the populace. The wealthy merchants of Jiangnan are the people, and the great scholars writing books and establishing doctrines are also the people. The people encompass everything, endlessly multiplying. They are absolutely not to be forcibly divided by sect or class. We do not divide the people by class. Your Majesty, since the Tianqi era, the Great Ming gradually lost the people's hearts. To lose the people's hearts is to lose the mandate of heaven. When the nation's destiny is in decline, when the people's hearts and the state's will drift further apart, the national power will undoubtedly show signs of exhaustion. Only when the people's hearts and the state's will fuse into one can this nation and this civilization burst forth with boundless majestic power. Just like the China of today, the people have faith, the nation has power. Our country will never abandon any citizen who yearns to survive, nor will we ever abandon any inch of land where we live and multiply, and we will certainly not abandon any of the people who deeply love this land. Your Majesty, this is the very foundation of our Chinese civilization's strength today. The nation embraces the people, and the people embrace the nation. Oh, well said, extremely well said. Every word is a gem, as deafening as a morning bell. Director Liu, can we still tolerate this Chen Jian? So that is how it is. Those who win the hearts of the people win the world. The principle of governance from ancient times to the present has always been hidden in these few words. Those who win the hearts of the people win the world. Just a few short words, yet so few can truly practice it. I have learned a great lesson. You are too kind, Your Majesty. The plight of the great Ming was not the fault of Your Majesty alone. It was truly the decay of the system, compounded by natural disasters and man-made calamities. Saving the great Ming was no longer within the reach of military power. Today's China is prosperous across the 4 seas, abundant in resources, and its people are secure. We have surpassed Hongwu's achievements and continued Yonggle's legacy. It is about time. Young man, send me back. I understand. Having seen the future citizens of China living and working in peace and contentment, my heart is content. The fate of the great Ming is ultimately the great Ming's own path, unavoidable. Oh, Your Majesty. Oh, Your Majesty, you have finally returned. Rest assured, Chengyan, I won't leave you behind alone. The rebel Chuang has breached the capital. Ah, help! Kill. Capture the dog Emperor Chongzhen. Young man, I have always been afraid that I would destroy the great Ming, afraid of being powerless, afraid of becoming the foolish ruler in the mouths of future generations. But the more you fear something, the more it comes true. I have reigned for 17 years. The rebels are pushing straight to the capital. Though I am lacking in virtue and have incurred the wrath of heaven, causing the rebels to reach the capital. It was all my officials who misled me. I die with no face to see my ancestors in the underworld. I remove my crown, covering my face with my hair. Let the rebels dismember my corpse, but do not harm a single civilian. The great Ming. Your Majesty, young man. The future belongs to you. Chinese civilization belongs to you. My great Ming is but one of the inheritors of this civilization. I am very comforted. Chinese civilization finally has its successors and has never been severed. To see the future like this before my death, I am satisfied, Chengyan. Your Majesty. Flee for your life. I will not blame you. Your Majesty, your servant will follow you in life and death. I absolutely will not live alone. Respectfully seeing the Emperor of the Great Ming off on his journey. Respectfully seeing the Emperor of the Great Ming off on his journey. As a person of later generations, Chen Jian respectfully sees the Emperor of the Great Ming off on his journey. respectfully seeing the emperor of the Great Ming off on his journey. Eunuch Wang. The rebel army has entered the Forbidden City. You should go. Go. Where can I possibly go? Since childhood, I have eaten the royal grain and followed my master. Though the world is vast, where is there a place for me? His Majesty has heroically died for the country. How can I let my master go on his journey alone? Your Majesty, go ahead of me. Your old servant is coming. Ah. A eunuch actually had such backbone. Wang Cheng'an was able to leave his name in history. And it was never just because of his status, dying for the country alongside his monarch, fulfilling both loyalty and righteousness. He was not just loyal to the emperor, he was even more loyal to the nation in his heart. When the sounds of slaughter swallowed the Forbidden City, when the old tree on Meishan Hill became the dynasty's tombstone, Emperor Chongzhen, Zhu Yujian, with the most resolute posture, put a definitive end to the Great Ming's 276-year reign. Emperor Taizong of Tang Li Shimen once said, with bronze as a mirror, one can adjust one's attire. With history as a mirror, one can understand the rise and fall of states. With people as a mirror, one can see successes and failures. Today, through the collapse of the Great Ming, we can also glimpse an eternal truth. Those who win the hearts of the people win the world. Did I say it wrong? Right? But also not entirely right. Why? Did not you just use this logic to converse with Chongzhen? Because what we were discussing then was fighting for the empire. In ancient feudal times, those who win the hearts of the people win the world was naturally the supreme truth. But in today's China, it is not those who win the hearts of the people win the world, but to share the world with the people. Well said, to share the world with the people. This is exactly the foundation upon which today's China can rise. Chen Jian, old boy, can I ask you a question? Professor Zhao, feel free to ask. Why did you spearhead the creation of this program? And why was the first person you chose to converse with Chongzhen? Conversing with the past and present, surveying thousands of years of China, connecting the past and present to fully display today's elegance. This is the original intention of the program. As for why Chongzhen was the first choice, during the conversation just now, I mentioned paying respects to our ancestors and getting to the root of things. Chen Jian, these words of yours, I am afraid I do not quite understand. Yes, Chen Jian, what exactly do you mean? Chen Jian, you are not planning to. It seems Professor Zhao, well-versed in Ming history, has already guessed what I am going to say next. Chen Jian, this is a live broadcast. If you speak out, it will inevitably cause an impact. You must think carefully. Professor Zhao, what riddles are you playing at? I do not understand it at all. Yes, you two. Is there some agreement we do not know about? The show is almost over. What does this guy want to do? Director? I feel like this might not be a good thing. Oh no, he could not possibly blow up the live broadcast again, could he? From the moment I decided to create this program, I was already prepared. Conversing with Chongzhen is both to pay tribute to the ancestral roots of Chinese civilization and to get to the root of things. What does getting to the root of things mean? Today, I want to wash away the dust from the Great Ming, clear up over 300 years of misunderstandings, and let history return to its truth. The Great Ming. What is there to pity about the Great Ming? Chongzhen was indeed a monarch with backbone, giving the empire a dignified end. But this cannot cover up the decay of the Ming dynasty's system and the dereliction of duty by its monarchs. Those few emperors in the middle and late Ming dynasty were hardly wise rulers. In terms of diligence and governance, they were not even comparable to the emperors of the Qing dynasty. For instance, the Wanli emperor who skipped court for over 30 years. As the ruler of a nation, to slack off in governance like this is simply absurd. It seems the Wanli emperor I know of is completely different from what Boss Li knows. How is it different? The Wanli emperor Zhu Yijin reigned for 48 years, making him the longest reigning monarch of the Ming dynasty. Economically, he implemented the single whip law, surveyed land nationwide, and consolidated taxes to be paid in silver. This simplified the tax system, lightened the people's burden, and enriched the treasury. Politically, he rectified officialdom, dismissed redundant officials, and improved administrative efficiency. Militarily, he heavily relied on Qi Jiguang, Li Chenglang, and other famous generals to secure the borders and deter Liudong in external wars. The three great campaigns of the Wanli era were complete victories. In 1592, the Ningxia rebellion of Pubei was quelled, suppressing the rebellion of the Mongol general Pubei and stabilizing the northwest. From 1592 to 1598, in Korea, troops were sent to assist Korea, resisting the invasion by Japan's Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Though it cost dearly, it maintained the East Asian tributary system and border security. From 1599 to 1600, the Bojo rebellion of Yang Yinglong was pacified, suppressing the rebellion of the southwestern chieftains and strengthening control over the Yunnan-Guizhou region. As for the so-called not attending court for 30 years, that was merely being absent from ceremonial morning courts. He definitely did not abandon governance. The Wanli emperor always firmly held financial and military power. Important memorials were always personally reviewed. The state machinery never stopped running. In terms of achievements, the Wanli era alone could probably rival half the emperors of the Qing dynasty. Absurd. This is absolute nonsense. Absurd. This is absolute nonsense. Absurd. In terms of the economy, the single whip law completed the monetization of silver. Private overseas trade networks spread across Southeast Asia. The king closed the country off, and even the research and development of firearms was halted. In terms of the military, the Ming established the Shenji camp early on and had fully equipped firearm units during the Wanli-Korean War. They crossed the sea to defeat the Japanese invaders. Yet during the Opium War, the Qing was still using red barbarian cannons from 200 years prior. In terms of livelihood projects, for Ming's flood control, Pan Jixin used the method of restricting water to scour sand to repair the Grand Canal, ensuring smooth water transport. In the 5th year of Shanfeng, the Yellow River changed course, drowning millions of people, while disaster relief funds were embezzled at every level. You talk about the High Qing era, but behind that prosperous era let history return to its truth. The Imperial Astronomy Bureau had to rely on missionaries to revise the calendar. Do you call this progress? Is it just about population base and territorial area? What is seen in the history books is but the tip of the iceberg. The world believes the Great Qing far surpassed the Great Ming. Today, with Changzhen as my witness, I declare to the world, even more than 300 years ago, the Great Ming's backbone and civilization's splendor still far exceeded the closed-off Great Qing. The Great Ming far surpassed the Great Qing, the Qing dynasty's true nature. Better to give to foreign friends than to our domestic slaves measure the wealth of China to win the favor of foreign nations. This is the most realistic portrayal, but the lives of the Qing dynasty commoners at that time were clearly better than those in the Ming dynasty. Better. During the Wanli era of the Ming dynasty, Portuguese missionary Álvaro Semedo wrote in his history of the great and mighty kingdom of China, the silk produced in China mostly comes from Zhejiang. Its massive yield is astonishing. Not only is plain brocade everywhere, but there is also the luxury of woven gold and silver. From nobles above to commoners below, all wear silk. Matteo Ricci recorded that in Jiangnan, wearing silk and eating meat were common sights. The people lived comfortably, but in the Qing dynasty, in 1793, when the Macartney mission traveled to Zhejiang, they saw peasant homes with bare walls and empty pots, and people in rags. By the late Qing dynasty, missionary Arthur H. Smith described rural North China in Chinese characteristics: utterly destitute, faces numb, only seeking mere survival. Is this what you all call a better life? Since we are on this topic, I might as well announce to everyone, The theme for Season 2 of National History Cloud Atlas is set, the history of Ming and Qing commoners. When the time comes, I will take everyone to experience it firsthand, to personally feel the real lives of the common people at the bottom of society during the Ming and Qing dynasties. Today's National History Cloud Atlas ends here. Thank you all for watching. See you next time. Latest news indicates. Yes. This act severely shakes the friendly relations between our two countries and has sparked strong dissatisfaction from multiple countries. We urge you to face the international voices and not to isolate yourselves. Bullshit. Where do these foreigners and jerks get the nerve to say this? They are clearly the ones who targeted us first. Wow. Their ugly faces are cut from the same cloth. They can raise tariffs, but we can't strike back. Please watch your language. Raising tariffs is to protect domestic industries. It is not targeting China. Exactly. Carrying hostility first. This is completely different from us. Man, my temper is flaring up. State officials can light fires, but commoners can't light lamps, right?